An F1 star just committed a PR blunder so egregious, it has triggered a fan war of epic proportions. This single social media post, published on a day considered sacred by the entire F1 community, could have devastating consequences for his reputation, particularly among traditionalists and fans of one of the sport's greatest legends. What did this prominent racing driver post on such a deeply significant day that crossed the line in the most controversial way possible? For all dedicated Formula One followers, the 3rd of January holds immense weight. It is the birthday of the 7-time world champion Michael Schumacher, who turned 57 this year. But for over a decade now, this date has also been shadowed by profound sadness. The tragic 2013 skiing accident that forever altered Schumacher's life and removed him from the public eye. While the world paused to send wishes to the living legend, one current F1 driver drew all the attention to himself, and for absolutely the wrong reasons. The driver in question is Alpine's Pierre Gasly. Gasly's activity on social media caused an immediate outcry that went far beyond typical online F1 discussions. On the surface, it was just a few holiday photos during the winter break, but the context, the visual language, and the timing were so spectacularly unfortunate that fans reacted instantly, branding the post as unequivocally tasteless and disrespectful. Wow, the question that immediately arose was simple. Was this a monumental, context-blind mistake or a deliberate, calculated bombshell provocation? Before we dive into the specific details that fueled this firestorm, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in F1, subscribe to the channel right now. Now let's get to the shocking core of the story. Pierre Gasly posted photos showing himself on a ski vacation while the F1 season was dormant. That, by itself, is entirely normal. The problem is that this post appeared precisely on Michael Schumacher's birthday. The fan fury wasn't generated solely by the temporal proximity, but by a confluence of two further details that immediately ignited the controversy, making the action appear unbelievably reckless. It wasn't just ill timing, it was a PR execution of three compounding errors. The first detail that immediately caused outrage was his choice of clothing. Gasly was captured wearing an iconic, brightly coloured red ski suit, a distinct visual that instantly triggered painful memories for F1 observers. Why is this so relevant? Because the colour scheme and style heavily resembled the red racing colours famously associated with Schumacher's prime, and crucially, the type of gear often worn when his tragic accident occurred. This specific visual connection was not seen by most fans as a random choice, but rather as a painful, unnecessary, and immediate reminder of the darkest chapter in Schumacher's recent history. For the online community, this was the first clear sign that Gasly had potentially crossed a boundary of sensitivity that simply cannot be ignored in this sport. But it gets even worse than the outfit. The second, shocking detail concerned the location where Gasly chose to take these now infamous pictures. He was skiing in the French Alps. Let that sink in for a moment. He was vacationing and taking photos in the very same region where Schumacher's catastrophic accident took place over 10 years ago. When you take the temporal component, Schumacher's birthday, the attire, the bright red suit associated with the tragedy, and the geographical setting, the French Alps, you create a self-inflicted PR disaster whose magnitude Gasly clearly and catastrophically underestimated. Fans were quick and unforgiving in condemning the action as completely tactless. While Gasly may have intended this as some form of subtle homage, perhaps a nod to an F1 icon often seen in those colours, it was overwhelmingly interpreted by the vast majority of online commentators not as tribute, but as cynical and deeply disrespectful provocation. This is the crux of the problem, the gaping chasm between intention and public perception. Even if Gasly had the best of intentions, the optics of the situation were absolutely destructive. An active Formula One driver posing in the location of a tragedy, wearing the visual markers of the victim on the victim's birthday, is a PR blunder of epic, almost unbelievable proportions. The comment section beneath his post quickly filled with enraged reactions. Terms like tasteless, disrespectful, and degrading were among the most frequently used. The emotional intensity of the F1 fanbase regarding Michael Schumacher is unrivaled, and stepping into that territory without extreme care proved to be a critical mistake. We must consider the implications for Gasly himself and his team, Alpine. Alpine is an established major manufacturer team with significant global ambitions, and unnecessary controversies like this severely damage the brand's image. It draws global attention onto a subject that has absolutely nothing to do with racing and everything to do with public decency and empathy. Gasly now faces sharp criticism, not just as a race driver, but as a public figure perceived to be utterly lacking in sensitivity. But what Gasly revealed about the pressure on modern F1 drivers is truly insane. A critical element often overlooked here is the relentless internal pressure modern F1 drivers face to constantly deliver content. During the winter break, social media often serves as the only direct connection they have to their millions of fans. But this mandatory push for content production cannot come at the expense of basic due diligence and care. In this case, the apparent urge to post a cool vacation photo seems to have bypassed every necessary filter and consideration. This begs the vital question: did Gasly truly fail to consider the possible associations? Or did he consciously gamble on the connection to the Schumacher tragedy, perhaps in a bid to generate maximum attention during a slow news period? Considering how deeply rooted Schumacher's history and his painful accident are embedded in the collective memory of the F1 world, it appears almost impossible that a high-profile, currently active driver could fail to see these extremely obvious parallels. The French Alps, January 3rd, and the red ski suit. These are not random, isolated coincidences. They are a direct chain of monumentally poor decisions. The consequences for Gasly could be wide-reaching, particularly concerning his public perception in Germany and among traditional F1 fans worldwide. Respect for the sport's legends is a core value, and a posting like this is widely interpreted as a direct affront to the memory, legacy, and, crucially, the privacy of the Schumacher family. The ripple effect of this action is massive, and it highlights the hidden pressure on the team's organizational structure. It is also absolutely essential to examine the role of social media management teams. If Gasly employs a professional team to review and manage his content, which is standard practice for F1 stars, that team has failed him, and Alpine spectacularly. Such obvious visual and temporal connections must be spotted, flagged, and eliminated before posting to preempt exactly this kind of PR crisis. The lightning speed with which the criticism spread globally demonstrates just how sensitive the F1 community remains to anything connected to Michael Schumacher. Fans argue that instead of simply posting a neutral message of remembrance or simply enjoying his private time quietly, Gasly chose to publish a photo that unnecessarily and provocatively instrumentalized the tragic history of the sport for a quick social media post. While skiing is a common hobby for many drivers, the combination of details on this specific date was the critical element that caused the immediate escalation. The line between homage and outright tastelessness is extremely narrow, and in the opinion of countless commentators, Gasly definitively leaped across it. And the biggest question now centers on the management structure that allowed this controversial post to go live. The coming weeks will reveal whether Gasly or Alpine feel the need to issue any formal statement or apology. So far, the probable strategy is to attempt to ride out the controversy through silence. But the digital scars in the social media sphere are permanent. This example will almost certainly serve as a cautionary tale in future driver briefings, demonstrating just how quickly and easily a single, thoughtless, or ill-advised post can ignite an explosive global reaction and damage careers. In a sport where public persona and image are everything, Pierre Gasly committed a severe error that has seriously damaged his standing with a large segment of the fan base. Whether it was genuinely intended as a tribute or not, the overwhelming perception is that on Michael Schumacher's birthday, he chose to capitalize on the tragic circumstances of his accident for a simple vacation snapshot. What do you think? Was Gasly's post genuinely tasteless and disrespectful? Or are F1 fans overreacting and seeing malicious intent where none was originally intended? Let us know in the comments below. This is one of the biggest controversies of the winter break, and it is casting a long, dark shadow on the upcoming F1 season.